It's too late now to turn around and back again. I made my bed and now I lay my head in it. And I'm sorry I'm not perfect, but I knew that I wouldn't be. I guess it's for the best, you know the worst in me.
Hey guys, so I'm just clipping out some parts from old lives that people have kind of requested that I've already read some of this stuff, so I just clipped it out. So if you hear me like saying something, because this is during a live, if you hear me saying something that the answer's already been said, it's because this is probably from, I think this one's from like a couple weeks ago. It's me during a live when I read the incident from December 2014 with Wade and what he did to that victim. It's not good. It's just horrible. But anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna be doing this. If you guys see a couple pre-records that seem like that they're from before, it's because I'm clipping out some interesting things that have been requested. So look for those, and then I'm gonna be starting a new case until I get my record files from this case. Or, of course, if there's anything new with this case, you know I'll be on it. Okay, so here is me reading that incident or it's a probable cause affidavit is what it is. But first, I want to read the ex-girlfriend of this victim. She was commenting with somebody, so let me read that first, and then I'll read the probable cause. Well, I'll play the part where I read the probable cause after this. So the ex of the victim, the poor girl that he did that to, so her ex, this is her ex, this life result is her ex, says, I went to the trial because that was my girlfriend, now ex. He did that too. I lost faith in the judicial system after that because he was charged not guilty in that case when there was a clear evidence of SA. But his friends lied for him to cover the kidnapping part with an alibi, and they used her mental illness against her. It still makes me sick to this day because he would have gotten life in prison, and it could have saved many other women's well-being and lives. Rotten hell, Wade Wilson. And Jordan says, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He should have been locked up for sure. I hope she's okay and getting help she needs. And the ex says, yes, she has had a decade of therapy. It has helped her move on, and she is happy in her new chapter of life. Our relationship crumbled after that trial, though. I was not emotionally mature enough at that time to be with someone who experienced such a traumatic experience. Both that tragic night with Wade and the judicial system failing her. With him out of jail after the trial, and he was doing community service at the Goodwill close to my job, we were both on edge of ever running into him. It was horrible knowing he was out as a free man, continuing to be abusive to women. And she called it. After the trial, she said he was going to eventually kill women. And now that he actually has, he is now convicted guilty. And this, Jordan says, and you know what's so disturbing is there's actually women who are fighting for him, so blinded by whatever. I'm sure there's never going to be enough justice in the world. And the ex says, yes, it's so crazy, and it's insane how much this has blown up because I've hated him for what he did to someone I loved years ago. And these women are defending a power-tripping misogynist because he's handsome. I wish I could put every single one of those women into my ex's shoes on the night of 12/13/2014, the night he kidnapped, tortured, and SA'd her, and see if they still swoon over this psycho killer. And Jordan says, right, and it's a complete slap to the victim's face as well. I'm so sorry. And the ex says, thank you for speaking out and sharing his criminal history and supporting victims of domestic violence. Us women need to support each other instead of believing a woman killer. Those delusional women only fall for him because he's handsome. And this is the biggest case of pretty privilege I've ever seen. Wow, so got found not freaking guilty. Crazy. Okay, so now let's read the report. Okay, so let me read this. So this is from 2014. So another little thing against Wade here. Sexual battery and kidnapping. So this is that one from that I read, and I just had the charges, but I didn't have the report. That's this, okay? All right. So this agency responded to Tallahassee Memorial Hospital in reference to a sexual battery. The investigator was then contacted as the on-call investigator for the Special Victims Unit and responded to TMH to meet the victim. The victim blank, referred to as victim, wait, let me take these out actually, referred to as the victim for the remainder of this report. A 22-year-old female said she and her friend Dylan went to a party at blank. After getting to the party, the victim was offered some punch mix in a cooler
for party attendees to drink. The victim made up an excuse why she could not drink the punch, and then stated she would go get some vodka. Dylan drove the victim to a nearby liquor store, where he purchased a small bottle of vodka. The victim returned to the party, and she and Dylan hung out by the DJ, who was blank, Charles Osborne, also known as Chase. At some point, Dylan left the DJ area, and the victim was left hanging out with Chase and Ben, the other DJ at the party. The victim said she was a little uncomfortable because she did not know anyone there except Chase and Dylan. The victim said she continued to drink her vodka and started to feel sick. While standing near the DJ, the victim could smell somebody smoking weed. The victim turned around and saw a female smoking weed nearby. The victim said when she gets nauseous from drinking, the only thing that helps the nausea is smoking some weed. The victim walked up to the unknown female and asked if she, the victim, could smoke some. The female agreed and then began bragging about how good the weed was because it was from Colorado. The victim and the female, Caitlin, whose last name was unknown at the time, but is believed to be Caitlin Coyle, began hanging out and talking. Caitlin and the victim eventually walked over towards one of the bonfires, where the victim was introduced to the suspect, Wade Wilson. Caitlin introduced the suspect as Wade, first name only, and stated Wade was one of Caitlin's best friends. The victim told Wade she had noticed him when he walked in because of his dimples, which were really cute. The victim said during the very brief conversation around the fire, she told Wade she liked tattoos, and Wade lifted his shirt, exposing more tattoos. The victim revealed she had recently gotten out of a 2.5-year relationship with her girlfriend. Wade made a passing comment about him and Caitlin getting lucky tonight and said something about a threesome. The victim ignored the comment. Shortly after, the suspect asked the victim if she wanted to go smoke some weed. The victim agreed, and she and Wade exited the backyard through a gate on one side of the house. The two walked around to the front of the house and over to a maroon-colored SUV-type vehicle, similar to that of Honda CR-V. Wade got into the driver's seat, and the victim got into the passenger seat. The two smoked a few bowls of weed in a smoking device called a steamroller. She described the device as being a long pipe that fills up with smoke. She explained it as being something used to get a stronger high. After smoking, Wade told the victim to get into the back seat. The victim asked why, and Wade told the victim in a more forceful voice to get in the back seat. The victim felt as if she had no choice but to get into the back seat, so she crawled to the back seat. The victim began feeling very uncomfortable. Once in the back seat, Wade drove around for a little while. She didn't know how long they drove around because Wade made her get on a floorboard of the back seat and covered her with jackets. That is exactly like Kelly's, like exactly to a T. She said he got her on the floorboard and he covered her with like dirty clothes. Wade kept telling her nobody could see her in the vehicle. Wade finally stopped the vehicle and the victim realized they were still in the area of Essex Drive. Wade parked on the side of the street. The victim said Wade got into the back seat and started choking her by the neck with both hands. The victim kept asking him to let her out of the vehicle and asked to go back to the party, but he would not let her leave. Wade told the victim she had two options. One was to do what he tells her to do, and the second option is to get shot. Wilson stated he had a gun and would shoot her if she did not do what he said or if she tried to run. The victim said he kept calling her a bitch throughout the attack. Dang it. The victim stated after being choked and threatened with a gun, she became extremely scared and feared for her life. Bam. The victim said she went into survival mode and began doing whatever Wilson asked and tried her best not to make him mad. The victim does not recall how her clothing was removed, but once it was off, it was completely off. The victim said she was completely naked, and Wade began anally penetrating the victim. That's what he did to Mila and Kelly. Didn't Kelly say anally and then I think? The victim stated it hurt, but she was not going to do anything to make him mad. Wade continued to anally penetrate her for an unknown amount of time. Wade then pulled his penis out of the victim's anus and began vaginally penetrating the victim with his penis. The victim could tell Wade was not wearing a condom. Okay, so toward the beginning, Wade wrapped his jacket around the victim's head. The victim said it was a lightweight Seminoles jacket. And every time she took a deep breath or took a breath, and the jacket would suck into her mouth, making it hard for her to breathe. The victim felt like she was suffocating and began to panic. Oh my God, can you imagine like being, what an evil freaking jerk. The victim recalled while she had Wade's jacket wrapped around her head, she kept seeing a light and hearing a noise. The victim finally recognized the noise and figured out Wade was taking a video of what was happening. The victim could not understand why he was recording the incident, but did not say anything because she was too scared. The victim did advise that any time the light came on, i.e. the video recording began, Wade would change his tone of voice and attitude to that of a nicer person. Wow, playing for the camera. Once the video went off, Wade would return to the forceful and violent person he had been prior. Wade recorded 7 to 8 short videos on the victim's cell phone of the sexual battery. The victim said at some point, some of Wade's friends came over to the car and Wade made the victim get on the back floorboard prior to the friends getting up to the vehicle. The victim stated that she was lying on the back floorboard with her head basically under the back passenger seat. She said her hip was over the center hump of the back floorboard and she was in a very awkward position. Wade covered her in jackets and told her not to say anything. Wade talked briefly with his friends and Wade told him that he had a naked chick in the back of the car. His friends finally walked away. Wade then returned to sexually battering the victim. The victim said she began having an anxiety attack and could not breathe. She began asking Wade to open the door or even crack a window, and Wade told her he could not do that. The victim stated Wade was telling her not to act crazy or he would have to kill her. The victim became very nauseous and threw up on the back floorboard of the vehicle. After the victim threw up, Wade forced her to smoke more weed even after the victim refused. Throughout the sexual battery, Wade referred to his gun or threatened the victim with a gun approximately 5 to 10 times. The victim said she complied with everything Wade told her to do because she was afraid she was going to die. Sometime during the sexual battery, Wade took the victim's tights and tied them around the victim's ankles. The victim said he tied the tights extremely tight. The victim said Wade continuously ard her, anally and vaginally, for a total of about 3 hours. While Wade was still her, the victim said she thought it was the end and she was going to die. She said she started to think of happy things and was trying to put herself mentally somewhere she could be okay. The victim said she started saying the prayer, Our Father, over and over again in her head. After about the 10th time, Wade said, F it, I'm over it, and Wade stopped. Wow. Oh, he's over it. Now he just traumatized this poor girl for the rest of her freaking life, but he's over it. He's going to move on and do it to other freaking women. Dang it. Afterwards, she frantically tried to get some of her clothes on, and Wade's attitude changed a little. He tried to get the car started and could not get it started, so he made the victim get out and push the vehicle. Wade threatened the victim before she got out, assuring she would not run. The victim said helped Wade get the vehicle started, and then she got back in the car as demanded by Wade. Wade drove back to pick up his friends from the party, and his friends said they had been looking for him. The friends said they called the police to report the car stolen. Wade got into the front passenger seat and told the victim to just sit on his lap. The victim did not want to sit on his lap, but was again scared to make him mad. The victim was only able to put on her skirt, tops, and boots. Wade's friends asked the victim where they could drop her off at, and the victim told him her brother's house. The entire ride, Wade continued the sexual battery by penetrating the victim's anus with his fingers. Oh my God. She said as they got closer and closer to her brother's house, Wade got rougher and rougher. She felt Wade was being rough as a reminder of his threat for her not to tell anybody what happened. Wade told her, I hate that. I had to do it. Like, because you're so beautiful. So he says, I hate that I had to do it because you're so beautiful. Well, quit treating people like crap. Maybe be nice. Be a nice freaking person. But you can't, right? Wade's friend dropped her off at her brother's house. The victim said when she got out of the car at her brother's house, Wade again asked the victim her name. She responded, and he again asked her her full name in a threatening manner. She told him, and she felt he was asking her name so he knew who she was in case he had to find her to follow through with the threats he made to her. The victim ran to her brother's front door and knocked until Blank woke up. The victim told her brother she had just been AR'd for 3 hours and was hysterical and was crying. The victim went in and took a shower. The victim said she just sat down in the shower, but it hurt so bad to sit down. The victim said while in the shower, she pulled out a handful of hair due to the stress and anxiety she was feeling. After the shower, her brother offered her his bed, and she went to sleep. Her brother slept on the couch for the night. The following morning, the victim discovered the tampon that she had been wearing the night before was no longer inside of her or had been pushed so far into her that she could no longer locate it. The victim was also missing 2 small earring gauges, a nose ring, and possibly her tights, later located. At that point, the victim chose to go to the hospital for a sexual assault evidence kit. The victim presented it at the hospital with multiple abrasions, bruises, and scratches to her body. Some of the injuries are as follows. Right knee abrasion and scratches. Right foot small bruise on the area just above the 4th toe. Right hip bruise and scratch along the hip bone and waist. Left elbow bruised and slightly swollen, painful to move. A red mark and bruise on the right side of the chin. Scratched or abraded area running horizontally across the windpipe, the neck. Bruised and lightly swollen lip. Abrasion across bridge of nose. Side of neck. Right side of neck scratches, left side of neck bruised, right side of head above the ear slightly swelling and tender to the touch, left ankle scratch. On December 17th, 2014, this investigator attempted to contact the suspect. Wade could not be located at this listed residence. Several addresses were checked, and his known associates were contacted without success. All attempts to locate Wade have been unsuccessful. Wade is currently out on bond in reference to 2 unrelated charges. Wow. Dang it, that's rough. That is freaking rough. Wow. What do you guys think? Hey, Shredanich. Hey, Lily. I know, right, Jazzy? I don't get it. He should have been in for like 20 years for that crap. That's bull crap.
I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was. And I feel misunderstood, cause I'm trying hard to love. I'm sorry, my actions, they haunt me.